Our career discoveries, helping students envision their future and the education beyond high school to get there. I'm your host, Kathy McDonald, Assistant Director for Network Partnerships with the Florida College Access Network. I am thrilled to welcome on our call today guest presenter Ian Fletcher, Vice President of Education and Talent Alignment for the Greater Gainesville Chamber of Commerce. Ian has over 25 years of management experience focusing on operations, customer service, and client vendor relations. He is currently overseeing the Alachua County Education Compact, which is the local college access network, and the Chamber's foundation arm. He serves on various boards and advisory councils in Alachua County and has led the Chamber's Career Discoveries program for the last 5 years. I am also thrilled to welcome back on the webinar today Dr. Chris Laney, who is the Workforce Education Director, CareerSource Suncoast. Chris oversees education and talent preparation programming to help students become college and career ready. In addition, Chris helps develop regional workforce and education legislative platform for the organization. He serves as the state representative for the CareerSource Network on the Florida Career Pathways Network Board of Directors. Chris has earned a doctorate in education from Trevecca University, an MBA from St. Leo University, and a bachelor's in technology management from State College of Florida. Now, before we get started today, a few housekeeping items. We welcome your questions. So we'd love to learn what is on your mind and how we can help. So feel free to enter your questions in the box that you should see in your dashboard, which is probably located on the right side of your desktop computer. We will allot time at the end of today's call for Q&A, but feel free to send over your questions at any time. Second, please share what you're learning on your favorite social media platform. We love to hear what's resonating with you. You can find us on Twitter at FL College Access. Please use the hashtag FCAN and/or hashtag Career Discovery so we can find you. Finally, this webinar is being recorded. All materials will be available within a week of the recording. You'll see several handouts in the handout section of your dashboard. If you don't see them, no worries, we will send them out afterwards. But if you do choose to follow along with the slides, those are in your handouts, as well as our Planet Florida brochure and a copy of the study that we'll be referencing today. Now, I know we have some new folks joining us on the call today, so for those of you who are not familiar with FCAN, very briefly, FCAN's mission is to lead the collaborative movement to ensure every Floridian achieves an education beyond high school and a rewarding career. Our vision is to build a Florida working together where education is the pathway to economic mobility for all. We do our work in 3 primary ways. The first is we publish research and data on evidence-based practices and policy opportunities to strengthen Florida's talent pool. The second way is through our local college access networks. We have 17 of them throughout the state that support 82% of the state's population. These are made up of cross-sector community leaders who are coming together to support the talent development in their region. Finally, the third way is FCAN coordinates our 4 College Ready Florida initiatives, which are designed to help students in preparing for and continuing their education after high school. FCAN's work is guided by our 7 conditions for success, which you can find out more about on our website. Today's webinar provides a great example of many of these conditions, particularly clear information and guidance, multiple pathways to success, and community collaboration. Now, let's get you all participating here. So let's launch a poll. And we'd love to hear from you on what types of career discovery activities you're already offering your students. You can vote for as many as you like in each of those. So is it career advising with the counselor, career discoveries events like we'll be discussing today, visits to local employer sites, career assessments with a debrief that involves a caring adult like a counselor or mentor, or is it something else? And if it's another, we'd love it if you'd share that in the Q&A box on your computer so we can learn from you. So let's give you a couple more seconds to vote here. Seeing lots of good examples here. So Crystal is asking, are the presenters Take Stock in Children mentors? I do not know. Ian or Chris, you want to share whether you are a Take Stock in Children mentor?
I am not a Take Stock in Children. This is Ian. I'm not a Take Stock in Children mentor. I do sit on the Ed Foundation board of Alachua that's instrumental in implementing the program here in Alachua County.
Wonderful, thanks. How about
And
you, Chris?
I'm also not a mentor for Take Stock at this time.
Okay, great, thanks. All right, let's go ahead and close out that poll. Let me share the results with you all. And as you can see, lots of career advising with counselors, which is great to hear because you're going to hear more about how important that is today. But 62% of you are doing career discovery events, so it sounds like you might be looking for some new ideas to bring to your own. 41% visiting local employer sites. That's great to hear. We definitely want to see our employers get more involved. 59% career assessments with guidance, which is so helpful for our students. And then 15% others. So those other folks, if you wouldn't mind sharing your ideas in the box, we'd love to see that. Okay, so let's go ahead and hide that out. Let me get back to our slides here. So to kick us off for our topic today, just to give you a little bit of background, this year at the World Economic Forum, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development shared the results of their study looking at career aspirations among students around the world, including in the United States. Despite dramatic changes to the workplace that many of us have seen since the year 2000, student career aspirations haven't really changed all that much over the last 20 years, with about half of students still expecting to enter one of the top 10 frequently cited professions for their gender. If we look at this broken out by girls, what you will see is 7 of the top 10 cited occupations for girls, for teenage girls, hasn't changed since 2000. Now the rankings have changed slightly, but those 7 are still there. And what is a little concerning is now more than 52% of girls around the world are choosing from these top 10 professions. So we're seeing a high concentration, at least an expectation of it, within these fields. And this is what it looks like for the boys. For the boys, the top 10 occupation concentrations haven't changed at all, though the rankings changed slightly. What's more concerning here is, back in 2000, just shy of 39% of boys selected from these top 10 fields. It's now up to 46.8%, or nearly 50%. So we're seeing a greater concentration today than even we saw back in 2000, despite the fact that so many new jobs have been created since then. And job loss due to automation is of concern. According to this study, about a third of the teenagers in the US are aspiring to jobs that are at high risk of automation. And that was even before COVID-19. Less educated workers are more likely to be displaced, which is why it's so important for our communities to expose students to a wider variety of high growth jobs and the education they need to earn these jobs so that they are on a more sustainable path. A recent McKinsey study indicated that the pandemic is likely accelerating the automation impact on jobs. And you think about your own lives. Many of you are using virtual platforms for your classes and your meetings. You're probably ordering food off your smartphone instead of at a counter with a person taking your order. AI, robotics, and automation are changing the future of work, eliminating some jobs while creating others. So it just definitely confirms that we need to be helping guide students towards jobs in high demand careers that will be less likely to disappear in the coming decades, and to give them guidance on what types of education they need to earn those careers. So when we look at the concentration, as I said, in the United States, 50% of students named the same top 10 most popular career fields for their gender. And as you can see, among a number of countries, the United States is at the higher end of concentration. So we definitely want students to begin to see more careers than they're currently exposed to. So you may ask, how do we go about doing that? Well, according to the OECD, students can't be what they can't see, which is something I've heard from one of our teachers. And so some of their ideas in terms of how we can help students is A, start early. So let's start getting them exposed to students as early as those primary grades, connect classroom learning with future careers so students begin to see how their education is helping to prepare them for those futures. We want to make sure we're challenging stereotypes so students from low income households aren't being pigeonholed into low growth careers. And we want to ensure that the experiences we're giving them give them an opportunity and exposure to lots of different types of opportunities and careers. And along with that, we want to make sure that they have easy access to trustworthy workforce information. So what types of careers are available in their local community? How much can they earn from those fields? What kind of education do they need to earn those? You're going to hear some great examples of that from Chris and Ian in a minute. Finally, we want to make sure we're connecting career interests with the education they need to get there. So they need some help seeing that pathway along the way, which is where our mentors and our counselors and our community members can be so helpful. In terms of how do we engage our employers in helping students better understand jobs and career futures, we really want these interactions to be authentic. So ideally through direct encounters with employers, which again, Ian and Chris will give us some great examples of that. We want it to be frequent and varied. So they're exposed to lots of different types of jobs to break them out of the top 10 that they are kind of concentrated in. We want the experiences to be valued by students. So again, the examples you'll hear from Ian and Chris in a minute will give you examples of students really engaging with employers and getting excited about their future. It's helpful to make sure it's contextualized. So whether it's a school counselor or a parent or a mentor or some other caring adult, we want to help students think about careers within the context of a career plan through guidance. And finally, we want to personalize those career opportunities for students so they feel as though it's playing to their strengths and interests. And with that, I am super excited to welcome Ian, who will let me go ahead and switch the sharing over to you, Ian, so that you can help our audience understand what you all have been doing in your community. So with that, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Kathy. Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the opportunity to speak about a passion of mine. When the Chamber's Talent Alignment Committee began discussing what role the Chamber would play in education, they also wanted to develop a program of how to showcase career opportunities and pathways to middle school students and their parents, middle and high school students and their parents. And what they ended up creating was a 3-hour workshop to inform them about emerging career opportunities in the region. We launched Career Discoveries Day in October of 2015 with a keynote speaker, industry sector speaker, and breakout sessions for students to ask questions of the industry speaker. What we looked at was we looked at the 5 economic development sectors that the Chamber was focused on at the time, which was advanced logistics, advanced materials, agriculture and life science, human life science, and software and IT. We've since done another economic development strategy, and those industry sectors have shifted a little bit to distribution and trade, business, support services, agricultural science and technology, human life science, and digital technology. This video will show you just a little bit of what a student takeaway from the first Career Discoveries Day.
Students in North Central Florida are getting out of bed on a Saturday to go to school. More than 50 students attended the first Career Discoveries workshop at Lofton High, hosted by the Gainesville Chamber of Commerce. The event was open to middle school and high school students, and local business professionals presented employment opportunities available in a range of fields from logistics to human life sciences. Representatives talked to students about their day-to-day work and possible internship opportunities available.
I think that I can take away that there are lots of opportunities and there are many, many career options that don't necessarily require a PhD, and you can still work your way to a very well-paying job and have a really great future and do what you love.
Presenters emphasized with good grades, students could begin their careers as early as high school graduation. The Gainesville Chamber of Commerce hopes to make this an annual event.
So as you can see, the student really enjoyed her experience. She was a homeschool student, and she really enjoyed being able to come out and learn about opportunities towards career discoveries. So what did we learn after that first one? Breakout rooms and Q&A were great at first. The first 3 career discoveries, our focus was on the speakers. The first year, we learned that some speakers spoke over everybody's head. We had a biotech company that could have simplified their presentation and made tissue regeneration more aligned with sports science. Still, they didn't, and ended up launching all of us, the entire room, into the cloud. The smart thing was, I remember saying, oh, my next presenter is a former teacher. He will bring us back home. I did not schedule it that way, but he sure did recalibrate and brought us all back into the room. Location was another focus for us, and we made a conscious effort to ensure that we hosted the event at all the high schools in the city of Gainesville. We engaged one of our high schools that was not ideally set up to host the event with the opportunity, but the date conflicted with a play happening at the same day. So we were not able to host the event there. The other thing that we focused on was our keynote speakers. All of our keynote speakers over the 5 years have agreed to speak at no cost for us. It was important to us because 3 of the 5 keynote speakers command a speaker's fee worldwide, but lives in Gainesville and agreed not to charge us. All 5 of our speakers throughout the Career Discoveries series has had challenges in their career, during their career pathways. The challenge was ironic, but not the reason we asked them to speak. Our first speaker flunked out of college and had to come back home and reintegrate himself into a state college before launching his career. Our second speaker was homeless and went on to start one of the top health and fitness center and rehabilitation center in our community. Our third speaker was a volleyball player and went on and got an injury her senior year, but then she was able to change course and find a career pathways when she thought she was going to play volleyball overseas. Our fourth speaker received an English degree at Duke and a law degree from Harvard, but still didn't know what he wanted to become until he was working logistics for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he convinced Tony Dungy to allow him to write a book, and he became a New York Times best-selling author. And so last year's speaker was even more unique. He grew up in a single mother's home and bought a 1967 Mustang that did not work and rebuilt it in his garage. Went on to join the Navy to work in nuclear weapons, and then went on and received his bachelor's in biomedical, his master's, and he's a Juris Doctorate right now and owns his own law firm. Legacy is something else that I want to speak to you about. Before I play the next video, in 2017, the president of Buchholz High School DECA program, Michelle Weintraub, emailed me informing me that she would like for DECA to market and volunteer at the event. Michelle was involved in every planning meeting that we held that year. And she spoke to me about there was a banner that was on Buchholz High School building from an event years ago that the school never removed. So she had a goal. Her goal was to replace the banner. So I paid for the banner, and the banner is still on the building today. Michelle also branded the event with the phrase "Bring It" and passed out stickers, a tradition we still use today.
So Ian, I have control of the slides so that I could advance your slides for you. Are you ready to have me fire the next video?
Yes, please.
You got it.
Career Discoveries is an awesome event that we've been doing here in Alachua County for the last 3 years. Each year the event has doubled in terms of the number of students that have taken advantage of the opportunity. It's targeted for middle school and high school students, and the goal is to educate them and connect them to opportunities in 12 different high demand, high wage careers that are available right here. We do this in partnership with the Gainesville Area Chamber of Commerce and with the Alachua County Public School System. We have partnerships also with Junior Achievement and many other private sector businesses that are excited about helping us educate these young folks so that we can have a very strong and effective workforce in future years.
With a large number of industry options present, the students can dive in and learn about the many opportunities they will have in the upcoming years. Students come out with a new understanding and excitement for their futures.
Events like this connect the students to their future employment opportunities in the very community which they grew up in.
Okay, let me switch it back to your slides. There we go. Okay.
So the DECA students have been instrumental in the planning and implementation of the last 3 career discoveries. They help with setup and breakdown, registration, hand out swag bags, help exhibitors set up, serve lunch, and serve as a guide for speakers and students attending the event. From 2017 through last year, the students submitted their marketing plan to the state DECA competition with data from the event. In 2017, 18, and 19, they created a video to market the event. And in 2018, the project came in 4th in the state of Florida at the DECA competition. And the students were able to participate in the international DECA competition because of that. Talent management was another focus that we shifted 3 years ago. We implemented talent management where we had human resources directors speak about the multiple jobs available at a company. For example, an engineering company also hires finance, marketing, events, legal, and other support staff. And so we thought it was instrumental and significant that the students understand that just because this is a computer engineering firm doesn't mean that there's not jobs there for them. And we wanted to showcase those things to the students so that they can start to understand when they walked out of the auditorium and went to the exhibitors tables and saw engineering jobs and computer IT jobs, that they were able to really relate and say, well, there's an opportunity for me even if I don't want to be a coder. 2 years ago, we implemented a scholarship program also for seniors attending a state college, university, or a career technical education center. Last year, we gave away 2 $1,000 scholarships at Career Discoveries. With the exhibitors, in the first 3 years of Career Discoveries, we had breakout sessions. Our focus included the speakers and their Q&A interactions with the students. We changed our directions from breakout sessions to exhibitors the last 2 years. Students enjoyed the exhibitors at their table instead of in a breakout session. So we eliminated the breakout sessions with the exception of the FAFSA completion challenge. We asked the exhibitors to bring any relevant information about their field and career path, activities to engage the students, and their industry sector. Candy, of course, all students love candy, and items that they could share with the students. This year, we're looking to pivot even more with career discoveries. We will pivot to a virtual option this year. We have researched several platforms: Communique, Excel Events, Engage, and Run the World. We hope our next step will be to purchase Communique so we can use it to brand and create a virtual career discoveries experience for all of our attendees. The other change that we're making to career discoveries, instead of opening it up to all middle and high school students, the committee thought it would be best to really be strategic and focus on sixth graders at the middle school level, and then to do 2 days. The first day focused on sixth graders at the middle school level, and then the second day focused on 10th and 11th graders. We are currently working with the guidance supervisor to determine the date we will schedule this event. And that's mainly because our public schools switched start date from August the 10th to the 24th, then to the 31st. And so they're working on completing their scholarship, their calendar, I apologize, for the school year. Again, thank you guys for having me speak about career discoveries.
Thanks, Ian. That was great. Really appreciate it. Okay, Chris, I am going to be switching controls over to you so that you can fire your slides. So you are in control now.
Great. Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm excited to be here. I'm just now making sure I get my slides up for you. And screen two. All right. Well, once again, thank you, Kathy and the FCAN team for allowing me to have this opportunity to be here and present to you. Last time I was here, we talked about the data that we collected from our annual State of Jobs event, and we put that data into our State of Students report that we put out annually. Today, I get an opportunity to talk a little bit more about the event that drives that interaction with students. I would be remiss if I didn't mention that we are proud supporters of Reach Manatee and Planet Sarasota, our local LCANs, and we love the work that we have an opportunity to do with them. I want to start off with kind of the why. After last year's State of Jobs conference, about 2 months later, I was attending another conference, and one of the teachers that was with me at the State of Jobs conference was sharing with me, his impact and how it impacted students. And one of the things that he mentioned to me is that he had a student that was in 10th grade that was actually on the verge of dropping out, that had no direction and was just not doing well in any of his classes. And after attending this past State of Jobs conference and spending just 30 minutes at a table with a representative from Bank of America, he became inspired to go into business. And this teacher was sharing with me that his grades are much better. He did say that it is still a student, so sometimes he has to get him back focused, but he was just so surprised that one conversation at one event can make all the difference for that student. And so that's what I want to talk about today, is just what I love about Ian's presentation and what I'm going to share is there are no right way of doing career explorational programming. There's so many different ways of doing the job. And so you're seeing two approaches to how we're accomplishing this. Why are we doing this? Now, I shared some of this back in January when I shared the data from State of Students. We found that 5% of students move from not sure where they're going to live after high school to deciding that they want to stay in the local region or in the state of Florida. We also found that 15% of students went from not confident or somewhat confident to very confident about accomplishing their goals after high school from that one-day event. We also found that 15% of students moved from not sure about their ability to find a job in their local community to yes, I will be able to find a job in the local community after school. And when you think about from a number standpoint, this past year we had nearly 2,000 students participate in the State of Jobs Conference in 7 counties in 2 different types of events, East and West Coast of Florida. Before I jump into the State of Jobs Conference, one of the things that I just wanted to share as I was prepping for today, I was really impressed with one of our community partners. Some of you may be familiar with Unidos Now and their Future Leaders Academy. This summer, all of us have had a pivot because of COVID-19, but I was really impressed with how they were able to pivot so quickly. No surprise, because they have an amazing team over there. They use self-assessments with their future leaders to explore careers, find out what those various career opportunities are through these assessments. And then they match those various careers in the community and develop some pathways and decided to create some virtual learning experiences. And they put webinars together with various organizations and businesses. I have them listed here. They did it with the Ringling Museum of Art, the Tervis Company, as well as the Sarasota County Sheriff's Office, all based on those assessments that those students took. And then they also partnered with their career source, us, Career Source Suncoast, as well as Career Edge on a joint session with parents and students on jobs that are in demand and the various training opportunities that connected to those specific industries. And so I just thought that that was a really, really great way to pivot over the summer and keep the students engaged on career explorational opportunities. So jumping into the State of Jobs Conference, I want to start off before I get into the details of how we deliver this event. I'm going to go ahead and start off with a video. This video is from this past year's State of Jobs Conference on the West Coast. As I mentioned, we have a West Coast and an East Coast event. So give me just a second.
All right, so Chris, let's take this moment. We're going to welcome all of you to this State of Jobs Conference, but in addition to all 800 of you, because of you, there are over 100 local community members here to share their stories, which is kind of amazing, and they're all going to talk to you about the career fields that you have pre-selected before today.
I want to give a special thanks to the people that made today happen. First and foremost, we want to give a special thanks to Ringling College of Art and Design, Career Source Florida, the State College of Florida, and FCCI Insurance for going above and beyond to make today happen. In addition, there's a variety of other sponsors that are here today. We will have those on the screens, as well as many of them are here out in the lobby.
Let me tell you what this day is not going to be. It's not going to be some guy in a suit standing up here giving you motivational phrases. I look at you and I see our future, and we're going to link arms together, adults, and we're going to honor and speak life into young people, because you are our future and you are going to change the world.
They're all here to benefit students, which is really helpful because we're able to find things that we may not know much about, but they're able to guide us on that path to learn more about things we may be interested in.
I mean, it's important for our generation to know what to do. We don't want to just do nothing.
I know a lot of kids, including me, need more help on learning what to do when they get past high school, and it's going to really help a lot of people.
After high school, I would say my biggest fear is probably just not knowing what to do and what path to go down.
I came in thinking that I was going to be an engineer, but through watching the presentations, I'm definitely interested in a medical career.
So I talked to people who got inspired by other people. I've talked to people who didn't know what they were going to do in the future, so that gives me a little hope that maybe I'll become successful one day.
Educate yourself about what's to come in the future. You're sometimes unclear about what's to come, but with this it helps clarify and makes it clear what's in your future, what pathways are open for you to decide.
This is different because sometimes our guidance counselors are very busy, and like I remember a kid in our group said that he's a senior and nobody talked to him about anything yet. And this is stuff like people that know what they're talking about being like encouraging him and telling him different stuff that he can do.
So that was from this past State of Jobs Conference West Coast session. And I want to share with you, I'm going to jump into kind of how we build this event, but I will tell you that this is going to be our 7th year doing this. And over the year, we've certainly, we've learned a lot of lessons. As Ian was mentioning earlier, a lot of it's revolved around speakers specifically. And for this specific event, we require over 100 business leaders to participate in some sort of speaking capacity. And so we've had to learn and pivot who's good to work with students, who hasn't, depending on the sector that we're focused on. And so that's been an opportunity for us, as well as in the very beginning when we did this in the first couple of years and we were exclusively working with Sarasota County schools, we did it at the local tech college. And there was definitely some advantages to doing at Suncoast Technical College, exposing them to that kind of environment. But the one thing that we didn't want to do was we never wanted to take a student out of the classroom and put them back into a classroom. So we took a conscious decision to how do we create a conference experience? You and I, we go to a conference and we hear sessions and it's the environment that gets you excited and motivated at times. It's different. And so I had someone once tell me that a student may never know or remember what you say, but they will definitely make you remember how you made them feel. And so throughout the day, we absolutely put an emphasis on how do we make this student feel good about the career trajectories that are going on in their communities. And so the way that we do it, we break it up into three very specific areas. We call it our exploration, explanation, experience. So everybody likes the 3 E's. Exploration is providing students with hands-on experiences for students to explore the various businesses and industries. Now, we have 5 very distinct sectors that we focus on: engineering, art and design, healthcare, and manufacturing. And when in those specific sectors, we try to show the career exploration opportunities within that sector. So for example, if you said to me, you're interested in healthcare, or being a doctor, and you go on the healthcare track, well, that's great, but there are multiple pathways that you can go on to become a doctor. And we know life gets in the way. So we want to show those stackable credential opportunities where there's on-ramps and off-ramps within a career. So we do that within those specific sectors that a student is interested in. But in addition, in our exploration area, we provide a lot of hands-on opportunities that may not be discussed in one of those sessions. So you may see robotics or auto mechanics, or I think we had a barber there last year. Just a variety of opportunities that may not be discussed in those direct sessions. Now, our experience is where we students pre-select industries that they're interested in, and they get sessions in those industries. So for example, in our business track, they had a session that was focused completely on entrepreneurship, and another one focused completely on the insurance industry, which is a high growth industry in our region, and in the state of Florida for that matter. And so we show those students those opportunities within those fields. Our explanation is something that we added a couple of years ago. These are roundtable discussions. And the reason we added them is because as the event grew from 450 to 6 to 7 to 1,000 students, we realized that students were less likely to raise their hand in front of their peers and ask questions. And so we wanted to have a very intentional moment with those students. So we have a 1-to-9 ratio where students sit at a table, and it's kind of like a mini mentoring session where that business professional shares the story about who they are and what they do, and it gives students an opportunity to ask questions. And most importantly, this has been a great partnership, a cross-sector partnership between higher education. We have 14 higher ed institutions in our local community, in addition to this past year having the University of Central Florida, Florida State University, also join us, even though they don't necessarily have a local presence, as well as other organizations, workforce development, and of course, the business community. That's how we develop the live event. And it's been a really cool experience, but just like Ian, COVID has definitely warped our world a little bit when it comes to doing these large scale events. And so this year, as we were looking at our options of how do we want to expose students to career exploration, we decided to do a virtual event as well. We already have the platform that is in the midst of preparing for this specific event on February 4th, 2021. In addition to the 7 counties that we are inviting, we are actually opening it up to the full state of Florida for any school district that wants to be involved. Right now, we have about 20,000 students that have already committed to participating in this year's State of Jobs virtual conference. As I mentioned, it is available to all high school students, and registration will go up open somewhere in November to December. We're going to focus on 5 key industry sectors for at least this virtual event to kind of keep our focus in a virtual environment. That's going to be healthcare, information technology, manufacturing, business entrepreneurship, and art and design. And this, in our opinion, is cool because it will actually provide students with a new opportunity to do career exploration even outside of that one-day event. So even a week later, if there are if a class wants to go ahead and jump into the platform, they'll be able to do that, and they'll be able to experience a lot of the key features, except for some of the live interaction moments, a lot of the key features that may be within those career explorational opportunities. So for example, when you come into the virtual platform, you'll be in a 3D lobby, and then from there, you'll select the sector. And if you go and click healthcare, you'll be in the healthcare lobby. And there's going to be resources and videos. And during the live event, there's going to be Q&A with business leaders. And we're also facilitating those roundtable discussions through a new feature that we're adding into the platform, all video led. And so we're excited about that opportunity to do that. So with that said, Kathy, I don't have anything else unless there's questions.
Great, thanks, Chris. I'm going to go ahead and take controls back, and we will share my screen. So we have a few questions. One of them I actually want to crowdsource with everyone. Rose was asking about, there's so many assessments circulating out there in terms of helping students identify the skills that, can help them figure out what's the right career for them. ONET is common, and obviously Naviance has some on their platforms. I know when Laverne and I did a presentation down in Miami-Dade, we kind of opened it up to the floor to say, what are your favorites? And we got a great list, which I can dig that out and share with you all. But if those of you who work with students and have your own favorite assessments, if you wouldn't mind sharing those in the chat box, because we're always looking for good ones to steer people to. So please go ahead and share that. In terms of this first question is for Chris. What is the cost of State of Jobs? You know you were going to get this question. And are there scholarships for low-income students, and how can they learn more? So if you wouldn't mind chiming in on that.
Yeah, that's a great question because I get it every single time. How do you pay for it? The first couple of years when we were impacting 450 students in one school district at the local tech college, which was free, we were able to do the whole thing for, $1,000, $1,500. And then the money that we raised from the business sponsors, we used that and invested it back into student scholarships, which is always an important element of this event. The event is completely free to students and schools to participate each year. So just as an example, this past State of Jobs conference on the West Coast was about a $40,000 event. And I know that's a big number, but as we have built this over the last 5-6 years, we raise those dollars. We go into the business community and our higher ed education partners, and we have presenting sponsorships just like any other conference. And so while the schools do not have to pay anything out of pocket other than the substitutes that they're getting. In fact, with our public schools that participate on the West Coast, we paid for all their transportation as well, because we knew that was a barrier to attending the event. And so we raise those dollars through sponsorships. And then on the East Coast, which they just finished their second year of doing it, their event's a lot less. I think theirs was about $15,000 to $20,000. And they had a great event with about 700 students that participated. Once again, they raised all their money and had a surplus afterwards, and they reinvested that money into scholarships. So in reference to the conversation about scholarships that are available, there's no need for a scholarship to attend the event, but we use some of the money to give back to students for scholarships to go to college in the area.
Okay, great. So sort of related to that, how do you sell, and this is really for both of you, how do you sell the idea to employers? How do you get them to give up their time and sort of step outside their workday to participate in something like this? Ian, why don't we start with you?
It's an easy sell to employers because they understand the opportunity to showcase their career opportunities to students. And so many of the students don't know how there or what career pathways they want to take at the time. And so what it does is it gives the employers an opportunity to really interact with the students and talk about the pathway. And many of the employers love that. I haven't met an HR recruiter who don't love interacting with students and helping them to find that career pathway.
That's great, thanks. And I got a couple of requests around what platform. I know, Ian, you talked about the platform you're using. Chris, do you mind sharing what platform you're going to use for your virtual event?
Yeah, so we made the decision to build a custom platform. And the reason we did that is because we wanted to own the platform. I spent, some of you that are on this webinar today might have attended our professional conference, the State of Talent Conference we hosted in July, in which we employed a company called Intrado to help us deliver that conference. Unfortunately, we felt there were parts of it that that fell a bit short, at least on the administrative side. And so this event, because it's multi-track, multi-session, also I was very specific in needing various features like two-way video conversations that happen throughout the event, those types of things. That's very expensive. The quotes I was getting back were nearly $100,000. And I thought, if I'm going to spend that kind of money, I might as well do something myself. And so CareerSource has made it a priority to go ahead and develop out this custom platform that will be available in about a couple months for us to be able to do our event.
Great, thank you. I'm having some folks asking about how does a group request to be included in your February 4th event? Is that open to outside the regions you're currently serving?
Yeah, if they email me and say, hey, if it's an individual school or a school district, they can email me directly. I do want to say that we are specifically targeting high school students. I love that Ian is open. He does middle and high. And that's something we've certainly discussed. But if you have high schoolers that want to participate, certainly just shoot me a message.
Great, great. And Gwendolyn is asking, she'd love to do something like this in her county. How do you even get started? And, Ian, why don't I start with you? What I like about both of your approaches is you readily take advantage of your partnerships through your LCANs, your local college access networks, through your higher education partners. I know Santa Fe was an important partner for you at the table for a number of years. So where does somebody start?
You start with your partners, right? You put the feelers out, you have the one-on-one conversations, and you tell them you're putting together a committee to envision a career pathway program. And then you bring them to the table and you listen to them, right? I remember the first year we were talking, and the chair of my committee says, yeah, we're doing this so all the students stay in Alachua County. I was like, man, you're dreaming. That's not going to happen. And we went back and forth, right? But I chose not to argue with him because I knew every student wasn't going to stay in Alachua County, but every student was going to know that there's career opportunities for them in Alachua County. So I say you start by contacting your partners, getting a committee together, and start the planning process.
Great, great. Chris, how about you? How do you get
You know,
started?
yeah, I think that with State of Jobs, many people obviously connect that relationship to Career Source Suncoast. And interestingly enough, they were not the beginning of State of Jobs. They were at the table. But when I was on the board for this Greater Sarasota Chamber of Commerce, this was part of an initiative that I had as the chair of the Young Professional Group, saying, well, what if we did an event for high school students? What a great opportunity for young professionals to be engaged with high school students. And so I went to the chamber staff and I essentially said, hey, here's what I want to do. And certainly I had some believers and I had some those are like, that's a big goal that you're trying to do. And so one of our local foundations that was also happened to be at the table had said, you need to go meet with these very specific people at the school district, Sarasota County School District, had lunch with them on December, and we delivered our first event in April. And so it moved very quickly. And then I heard from our executive director of secondary schools at the time, he said, if you can just get the students in the room, like you got all the high schools to agree to show up, that's a success story in itself. Now, what happens that day is up to you. And sure enough, we had every high school that committed to participating that day, 450 high school students, and they had a great experience. And then that's when we knew we were on something.
Great. Great example. I know Rose was asking she'd love to gain more insights into more internship opportunities in the Fort Lauderdale area. There's actually a great example down in Miami. If you talk to the Children's Trust folks down there, we did a presentation. They did a presentation at one of our breakout sessions, so they'd be a great group for you to connect with. But I don't know if Chris and Ian, if internships are a part of this or if employers are offering internships. So can you, how does that, is any of that kind of connection going on as part of these activities? Ian, how about you go first?
Internship isn't a focused part of it, but if employers know that if they have an opportunity to offer a student to get an internship, they can do so. We try to work with our career technical education magnets in our K-12 system and with the businesses separately to try to set up internships for the students.
Great. Chris, anything to add to that?
Yeah, kind of like Ian, we don't facilitate the internship experience there. However, it's really amazing. I remember a few years ago, I had a young lady that attended the State of Jobs conference, and a couple years later, she wrote me and said she got her first internship because of State of Jobs. She met the vice president of the Baltimore Orioles because she was on the sports tourism track. And he gave her first internship in the front office at the Baltimore Orioles. I just thought that was a cool story, so there's definitely, that's the whole point of this event. Students are building relationships with businesses, and hopefully those relationships stay intact for many years to come.
Yeah, great, thanks. Let's see, one of the questions, are these sessions held in other languages other than English to support students where English is a second language?
For me, not at this time.
Okay. Chris, how about you?
No, that's a great idea though. And I think that with us moving virtual, that opportunity is even going to be a greater opportunity for this year. So something I'm going to definitely take back to the team to explore.
Great, thanks. Thanks to all of you who have been chiming in on the assessments you've been using. We've been hearing several. Obviously, My Career Shines has been coming up a lot. As many of you know, with the budget cuts, My Career Shines will be sunsetted at the end of this month. So we're definitely looking at other opportunities for assessments in the interim. Some of the ones that people have shared is Do What You Are, Big Futures. Another group uses Use Science, U like YOU Science Strengths and Interest Assessment. Resources
hey, Kathy?
on, yeah, please.
Sorry, I didn't add this to my presentation, but Junior Achievement has JA My Way, and they have presented live with the students picking up their phone and actually going into JA My Way and completing the assessment there and seeing the career pathway as well. So.
Yeah, no, great reminder. Thanks for that, Ian. And for those of you who don't know, we did a webinar with them a year ago, April. They actually put together a whole curriculum, and so thanks to Ian for reminding me about that, that you can partner with your local junior achievement. They actually created a workbook for students so that students can be thinking ahead of time. What are the questions I want to ask employers? What are the things I'm looking for in a career? And then there's some reflection questions afterwards. So it isn't just a nice day with employers, but they're actually thinking through and kind of making the connections to their own strengths. So thanks for the reminder on that. Somebody else is sharing, Cindy's sharing, Santa Fe College uses My Plan, that career assessment.
Hey, Kat,
And yeah, please.
we're big fans of Future Plans, which
Future
came
plans.
out of the St. Pete area. And they actually, I think they were at an FCAM event I was at last year, but we've been using them for years, and we've always seen that as a great tool.
Great, great. One of the other questions Kristen's asking is, other than vocational rehabilitation, are there other options for student ESE students? So how can counselors access the job market specifically for ESE students? I don't know if do either of you have any career pathing with that in mind?
Not for career discoveries, but we do work with Votech to make sure we showcase the jobs, and then we work with the ESC centers here in our community to make sure we showcase job opportunities.
Yeah, that's another good example of trying to do that at a student level. We in our community, we work with Voc Rehab in addition to, we have the Ticket to Work program at our career source, which I know many of the career sources around the state do as well. But I don't think we've really drive the same discoveries that we're doing with those adults down to the student level. So that really is a good opportunity as well.
Great, great. Thanks to Brooke for hot off the press. Had not heard this, that apparently the schools got letters this week that My Career Shines will be funded through the end of the school year. So thanks for that update. I appreciate that. Yvonne is asking, does the local career source in every community do something like this, Chris? And I think that's another question you get asked a lot.
Yeah, there's a common saying among the career source network family that when you've seen one career source, you've seen one career source. Every career source is independently ran, and so they really adopt their own specific initiatives to those regions. There are career sources that are involved in various opportunities in those communities. We actually partner with Career Source Research Coast for the East Coast event, which is St. Lucie, Martin County, and Indian River. There are many other career sources that are also interested, and usually it's the school districts that are driving the conversation before the career source, and then I'll reach out to them and say, hey, your local school district has an interest in doing this. Do you want to partner with us? A good example of that would be Career Source Heartland, which covers DeSoto, Hardy, kind of the middle of the state. They are not directly involved in the work that we're doing, but they're definitely, we keep them in the loop since we're impacting their students. So we want to make sure that their students know the opportunities that exist in those communities. So it just depends on the career source. There are some that have some great programs, I don't think to the scale of State of Jobs yet, but they do a lot of career explorational opportunities.
Great, great, thanks. And for Roselia, yes, Florida Shines is still being offered, so you're good to go there. We are getting very short on time, but I don't know if let's start with Ian. If you have maybe a quick answer to the question of any suggestions for career exploration for at-risk youth.
Yeah, I do. You have to really get with them and try to bring them in to the fold, right? And so one of the beauties about the Career Discoveries Committee is that we have educators that will tell us everyone we need to work on. And so we really try our best to outreach to those after school programs that may showcase and care for them, and then bring them into our fold and get them to our events.
Great, great. And Insperto, who asked that question, we also, two of the folks that we featured in our Innovator Awards, Machiter and Sherry, oh, I'm going to forget her name. I'm so sorry. Liscombe, I believe was her last name. They both support at-risk youth, and they put on a career fair for them. So I would encourage you to check out that little video we did with each of them. And if you want to be connected with them, let us know, and we're happy to make that introduction for you. So with that, it is 2 o'clock. So letting everyone know about, we are doing another webinar in about 2 weeks, Ready, Set, Planet, a district-wide approach to preparing students for college and career. I hope you'll come back and join us for that. Osceola County will be featuring them, and we'll be hearing more about how they are taking that district-wide approach. If you're not already a subscriber to our list, I'd encourage you to do so. That way you stay up to date on all the policy briefs and webinars and all the great things that we are publishing periodically. And finally, many, many thanks to Ian and Chris for sharing such great examples of community partnership and really helping students break outside the top 10 careers. And hopefully we're connecting them and their employers to jobs that are in demand, are going to be more resilient, less likely to be automated, and will help them build a sustainable and prosperous future. So with that, thank you all for joining us today. Stay safe out there, and we'll hopefully see you soon. Take care now.